guess what? You're allowed to be happy, no matter what anybody else thinks. No matter what bad things are going on in the world, or no matter what bad things are going on with people that you know and love. It seems unusual, actually, at this point in our culture and society to see somebody just going around who's smiling and completely happy. That would actually be an unusual sight, and that's unfortunate. So, what's holding us back? That is really the meat of the conversation here. What is holding us back from being happy in general? What other people think of us is often the thing that holds us back from expressing ourselves fully and joyfully. Why? Because there are moments when we want to just burst out laughing, and maybe we're not in a situation where that would be socially appropriate. We've learned in our society, even when we were little kids, we're running around squirting each other with the hose and screaming at the top of our lungs because it's so much fun. And our parents are telling us to be quiet because the loud screeching, even though it's laughter and glee, is piercing to their ears. And they just really want a moment of quiet. So as children, when we're happy, when we're jovial and running around and expressing ourselves in these explosions of joy and laughter, we get shut down. That's a normal thing in our society. So as a young person, from the beginning, we are really worried about what people think because we don't want to get in trouble. And if we grew up in a religious community or family, there sometimes is a lot of guilt in us as adults. We won't even be doing anything wrong. And for whatever reason, we're just feeling guilty about everything. You're driving down the road, you're going the speed limit, you've got your seatbelt on, you see a police officer, you immediately feel like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something wrong. You're going to get in trouble because that's the culture that we were brought up in. And so what tends to happen is we start to live our life that way. We start to modify our expressions and our behaviors to please those around us. And we're actually repressing not only the negative emotions of anger and sadness, we're repressing joy because we want to be in line and not get in trouble. That is usually where this stems from. As we go through our school years and we get into our teenage years where we go through puberty and suddenly we're trying to find our own personality and identity, all of this gets amplified. We become hypersensitive, and then we are really worried about what everybody thinks of us, right? High school is a popularity contest in the United States for the most part. Not that it always has to be like that everywhere, but for the most part in our culture, that's how it goes. We can even see it in the movies that we watch, and parts of it are cute and funny, but as we struggle throughout our lives to try to form an identity where we can feel confident about ourselves, really we feel like we have to hide so much of ourselves because it makes other people uncomfortable. The part about being happy, successful, joyful, that actually makes other people feel uncomfortable a lot of times because the majority of people don't walk around so joyful that you can just tell that they're loving every minute of their life. Most people are walking around with a burden, something on their mind that they're worried about, and there's a myriad of different struggles that can be happening in anybody's life at any given time. So when the person walks in the room who is just bursting with joy and you're looking at that going, oh my God, and you're rolling your eyes and you just want to walk over and maybe even choke the person, because the last thing that you want to be reminded of when you're down is that you're not walking in the room full of joy, that there's somebody else that can attain that. It's actually possible. And there it is right in front of your face. And you're, for some reason, not feeling that joyful. And so you actually might be annoyed by the joyful person. And so you can relate to when you're on a high and when you're having success and when you're having love in your life and everything is working out and you just want to enjoy that, and you want that to be something that you can expressively wear on your person, whether it's what you're talking about, how you're moving your body, the tone of your voice. You want to be able to express joy, and you can look around and practically see the eyes rolling around the room. They don't want to hear you. They don't want to hear you what they consider to be bragging. They don't want your happiness shining in their faces. So this is something where we just learn to hide it. We learn to not show people when we're angry, when we're sad, when we're upset. And we learn to not show people when we're happy, when we're proud of ourselves, when we're on a high and things are just going great in our world. Because when we do that, sometimes in both cases, we really face uncomfortable reactions in others. And so really what we need to do is temper our own reaction to the reactions of others. We need to be resistant to the reactions of others mattering to us, because if we've succeeded, say you've succeeded at something that you've been trying over and over again, maybe you're a musician and you're just trying to get out your first album, and you do that, you'll have to be immune to all reactions, because some of your friends and closest people are, for whatever reason, and it doesn't have anything to do with you or what you created or what your success is, they're not in a place within themselves to be able to be happy for you or celebrate your success the way that you want them to. So it can feel stale if you've created something and you've written a book and your best friend doesn't want to read it, or just doesn't get around to reading it, or you did create an album and your best friend doesn't listen to it. Your partner that you're in love with takes no interest in it. Could be that you publish a book and you don't get as many book sales. Or maybe, on the other hand, you achieve this great success and people do listen to the album and read the book, and you get a lot of book sales or whatever it happens to be. And then the people around you that you want to celebrate with are actually just kind of like, meh. They seem almost annoyed with you. They're not in the mood suddenly to hang out with you. So there can be resentments and jealousy involved. So, and then there can be people that just, they don't like your creation as much as you do. And you're putting all of your energy and feelings into what's their reaction going to be. So if it's good, you're going to feel elated. If it's bad, your world is going to be crushed. So this is why really attending to our own inner happiness, our own joy, and our own enjoyment of life, tapping into that and being okay with that no matter what anybody else is observing, is the most important. It's hard to do that. You want somebody who's close to you or someone that you care about to celebrate with you when you have a success. You want those people who are close to you to help you through it when you're having a crisis. And a lot of times you will have support in those areas if you have really good people in your life. But a lot of people have quantity and not quality. You have a lot of people in your life. Maybe you are one of the popular people or the successful people, and you do know a lot of people. You should still understand that your successes and your crises are really yours to enjoy or to bear. There are going to be people around for both, and you're going to have as many different types of reactions to you as there are people in the room. And you have to know that the reactions are about them and not about you. So you can be happy, and if somebody confronts you on the happiness and says like, how can you be happy? There are several wars going on the planet. People are starving in third world countries. Like, how can you just be happy? Don't you ever think about, doesn't the suffering get you down? And, you might run into something like that, and hopefully you would be able to not feel any way about what the person is saying, and you would be able to react to them in a very joyful but neutral way to say, hey, you're right. There is a lot of darkness in the world. And that's all the more reason for me to feel really blessed that none of that darkness is in my life right now. I actually am very grateful for all that I have and where I'm at. And I do feel like I want to express that. So hopefully my happiness will be contagious, and maybe you'll start feeling happy too just by being around me. And you don't have to be arrogant, and people might call you arrogant. And then again, your reaction is just going to have to be the observer of that. Like, oh, well, that's funny. Not at all trying to be arrogant by just enjoying life over here. Yeah. So I'm just going to keep enjoying life. Thanks for your opinion, and just brush it off. And a lot of times that's hard to do in the moment, but the point is, again, you're allowed to be happy. And maybe the fact of the matter is, as you're listening to this today, maybe you actually have a lot of things in your life to be happy about. Maybe things are going quite well for you, or at least they did for a very long period of time. And you can look back on that and say, wow, I have had a lot of success, and I've enjoyed a lot of comforts from the success that I've had. I have great people around me. I'm very fortunate. You know what? Now that I think of it, I do deserve to be happy. Why am I not happy? What's holding me back from not just being joyful? And when we look at what's holding us back, again, a lot of times it's old past stuff that we really haven't gotten over, and that we're hopefully going to move through and get over those things. But generally, when we're not happy, it's either old wounds, or it could be stresses in the present moment, like a health problem or a financial issue, or some instability or a big change that's coming that, is going to take a lot of preparation and work. A move that takes a lot of energy, time, money. So maybe there's things in life that are there in the present moment, and they kind of are dragging you down and making you worry. But again, you can look at it through a different lens and say, you know what, I can be happy. I can be happy right now, even with the unknown, even with the fears, even though, I'm running out of money and I'm not exactly sure what the next 2 years look like for me financially. I can still be happy. And so makes space for the happiness, even where there might be some things on your mind. There might be priorities, and that's always going to be there. There may be goals, and there could be a worry of not meeting the goal. There could be a worry of failure. However, that can also be there without the presence of sadness or anxiety. There could be a worry of failure while you're still enjoying what you're doing and living a joyful life. One of the things that's going to happen when you move into your success, and maybe your success is just feeling happy instead of feeling bogged down by worry. When you start to succeed, you're going to come up against the one thing that can really dim our light and really slow our progress, and that is jealousy. Jealousy from other people that are going to be jealous of your success, or even your own jealousy of somebody else, can kind of stop you in your tracks of being joyful. Why? Because here you are, you're going along, you finally got the job that you wanted, it's going well, you are doing really good with your relationship, your family members, everybody's getting along, and life is just rolling forward. You have some goals and home projects that you're getting started on, and these things are looking good. And then you go and visit a friend, and something fabulous has just happened to this friend. They got a promotion, and the money is huge, and they're going to move away, and they're going to be in this huge house on the beach. And it's exactly what you want your life to be in 5 years, or if it could happen sooner. But all of a sudden you feel this jealousy of like, okay, I'm happy for my friend, but why is everything so hard for me once I get there? And then I want to have the house on the beach too, and I don't, and they do, and then it becomes a bummer, and there's not the joy within yourself anymore. And that's just a very shallow surface level example of jealousy. Jealousy can strike way deeper than that. You could be having the time of your life, and you find out that your ex, who you were in a pretty deep relationship with, but it didn't work out, has fallen in love with somebody, and you might even be in love with somebody at that time, and that pang of jealousy, that waste of time that you spend on thoughts or on hurt about somebody else moving on, that can stop you in your tracks. You will go from being joyful to just kind of being very sullen. And that's normal in life. Sometimes things do hit us weird and we just, we're knocked off our balance for a little bit. Our emotions get a little bit inflamed, we'll say. Our emotions get triggered. And so we're not going to just walk around giggling to ourselves all the time. We are going to experience our human range of emotions. But that is one of the things that can come in when we start to succeed with having a joyful life, is if somebody else isn't jealous of us and trying to throw, some kind of drama into our life, or throw a glitch into our life, or make a comment about us that might affect us negatively, then we could also be stopped in our joy by our own jealousy of somebody else, by just when we get to our level of success, the law of diminishing returns, all of a sudden we want more, we want different, we want our next step, we want our next goal. And so part of really allowing ourselves to be happy is feeling it and being joyful, but allowing that to go on and on, not letting that be for a couple of days and then you're on to the next goal. Really living out the happiness no matter what is going on. So whether you've reached goals or you're still trying to get there. And then of course, when you go through the times of crisis, allow yourself the expression of sadness, allow yourself the expression of grief, or even if it is anger, as long as you're not harming anybody else by expressing your anger. Allow yourself creative expressions to get the negative emotions out as well. It's just as important to allow the negative emotions to come out in a way that doesn't harm self or others, in a way that is harmless, but it releases those. So we're not repressing negative emotions, and then we're not repressing joy as well. So being joyful and not, keeping that hidden from the world, we have to know how to express all emotions in a way that does not harm self or others. So I doubt there's a lot of ways we could harm somebody else by expressing joy, but we could all think of a few situations where being totally gleeful is not appropriate. If we're in the middle of a disaster, we're witnessing that directly, and for some reason we're giggling and joyful, that would not be appropriate. But in most other situations, and almost all other situations, being joyful is appropriate, and we should not feel that we have to repress that in order to make other people feel comfortable or to avoid making them feel uncomfortable. So the culture that we live in now, we've been repressed in a lot of ways, moving toward a new day and a new way and a new now. As our culture evolves, then we will be able to set the example by just spreading joy, being joyful, and spreading joy to others by not inhibiting that. So again, allow yourself to be happy. Maybe you need a reminder of how much good has happened in your life and of all the good memories and good times and goodness that is in your life at present. And then allow yourself moments of joy, even if it's in front of other people, even if it's an explosion of joy. Allow yourself to be happy and don't repress that. Let's make happiness contagious. Let's spread that around along with our love and our light and our compassion. But let's own it and let's really be happy and allow that to happen. And through that, I think others will catch on and will allow them to be happy. All right. Well, that's it for today. I hope you got something out of this audio blog, and good luck out there. And remember, it's all about love.